Hey there, Rick Sage, recording at the Rimrock Studios in Bishop, California. Welcome to Season 2 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, where I speak with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz and share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks, and ideas you can use to take your career or business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. I've used Audible for many years now. I'm on the road a lot, and Audible allows me to enjoy the great books I discover or are recommended by friends. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/theoutdoorbizpodcast. There are over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Start your 30-day free trial with Audible today. This episode is with Soraya Shattuck from the Adventure Travel Conservation Fund. Soraya tells us about the newly formed fund and her introduction to adventure travel through her family's safari business. Enjoy. Good afternoon, Soraya. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rick.
Great to chat with you. How's your New Year's going?
New Year's is pretty good. We're off to a pretty big start with everything, with work and life in general. So
yeah, awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Very fun. So let's start with how you got exposed to adventure travel. What was your first adventure travel trip or travel or outdoors, anything?
Yeah, great question. Well, I grew up in Kenya. So my parents actually ran a safari operation out of Nairobi. So we would spend a lot of our weekends out on safari. And I guess it depends on how you define adventure travel.
Oh, that would be considered adventure travel.
Yeah, I mean, but it can be a relative term. For some it's, doing extreme sports or traveling to Patagonia to climb in the Chaltén Massif or going to India and backpacking and spending, your budget's like $4 a day. There's a lot of adventures to be had there.
So you got to help people have their adventures. That's kind of cool.
Well, I got to hear a lot about how they helped people have their adventures.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was fun because, in addition to being able to travel and having a lot of those experiences, I got to see the other side of it, which was the planning and what's involved and how do you really sort of craft that experience that's once in a lifetime for a lot of people. So,
and how many years did your parents do that?
They're still doing it.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. I think they've had the business about 40, maybe a little over 40 years now.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
And you want to plug the business? What's the name?
Hill Barrett Travel.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. We'll link to that in the show notes. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. It's great over there. I got to go with, Orvis Travel. A good friend of mine ran Orvis Travel. We went over there on a safari and climbed Kilimanjaro
oh, cool.
But we staged out of, Arusha.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
We just flew into Arusha and we actually flew out of Nairobi.
Okay. Yeah. What'd you think?
Oh God, what a great trip. I mean, it was it's one of the highlights of my, I've been lucky. I've been to Antarctica and the Arctic and, safari in Africa. I mean, that was just one of the, if you folks are listening and you get a chance to go. It's
agreed.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any other trips on your bucket list since you've done the safari thing?
Yeah. Oh gosh, there are too many to count.
Yeah.
It's less of a list and more like, what's next, and just how do we get there and how's this all going to happen? And with our new little adventure partner, trying to figure out how all that works now is interesting as well. But I don't know. We just we did a trip to China last year.
Cool.
And explored the Sichuan province out there. I think some of the places at the top of our list right now are probably a little bit harder to get to, and the debate on whether it's safe to go there or not, up in the Karakoram in Pakistan and things like that. So who knows? Yeah. The mountains, anywhere with mountains.
Well, it could be local too, right? You don't have to go across the world.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Great mountains all around. And so tell our listeners what you're up to these days. You're part of the group that launched the Adventure Travel Conservation Fund. Congratulations. That's very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Adventure Travel Conservation Fund, it's a relatively new nonprofit. We launched at the end of 2016, really with the idea for, the travel industry coming together to fund conservation projects in travel destinations around the world. I mean, we many of us love to travel and play in the outdoors, but the truth is that a lot of these destinations where we do travel, there is an impact that can be negative, whether it's intended or unintended.
Right.
And if we want to continue to visit these places into the future, we have to do things to protect them or to mitigate our impact.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's sort of the foundation, I would say, of why this nonprofit was created. But yeah, we've spent the last year or so working so hard. Our board of directors and our steering committees and advisors and everyone just really rallied to come together and say, okay, what are the important issues for the industry? What are the areas we want to focus our protection on? And actually just in the end of last year, we announced our very first round of grant-funded projects.
Yeah, I'm just looking at those on the website. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great to see that all come full circle now.
Yeah, very cool. And what's next for you guys?
Well, we're getting ready to do it all again.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We have, over 70 international members right now, and it's cool because it's, really big organizations to just small 1 and 2 person organizations in the travel industry, and just kind of rallying everyone together, sort of spreading the word about who we are and trying to find some more incredible projects to fund around the world. So we're sort of gearing up for our second year now.
Nice. Awesome. And it's been pretty well received from what I've seen, right? I mean, you guys have a lot of great partners you're working with.
Yeah, so far so good. We've had from the very early onset, we had organizations like the Adventure Travel Trade Association, REI Adventures, Ex Officio Eagle Creek, and Cruise Adventures and Backroads all sort of come in and say, we really believe in this idea. We're going to stand behind you guys and let's sort of give this the good kickstart that it needs. And, without that support, I think it would have been pretty tough to sort of get it out there for who we are. But we've spent, I think, so this first round, we funded over $75,000 to all these projects.
Wow, great. That's a great start.
Really cool. Yeah.
And what were some of the biggest challenges other than just getting it off the ground? I mean, is it, I would imagine there's a lot of areas that need support. How do you prioritize that?
Yeah, that's the biggie. I think the scope of what we're trying to do has been, it's one of the great things, and one of the reasons we want to exist is the world is sort of our oyster to sort of quote it, right? But the challenges that come with that are, okay, we have this project that's been proposed to us in this rural destination. None of us have ever been there. None of our members operate out of there. How do we know how this project's going to work? What are the risks associated with that? So there is, and we're still trying to be innovative with the types of projects we're funding. So I think, the extent for how much we could do and sort of trying to rein that in, both in terms of the types of projects we would fund, where they are, what we want to do internally with the conservation fund itself. And, there's all these ideas popping up from me and from our board and different members saying, hey, you guys could do this and this. And it's all like, yes, I want to do it. But
we don't have an empty pocket, deep pockets, but they're not unlimited. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. And, wouldn't it be great to have a staff of 50 people to help, implement all this? But yeah, we'll get there. So keep telling ourselves one thing at a time, and, we're off to a good start.
Got to walk before you run. Yeah. And so with some of the challenges you mentioned in the world regarding travel, the political issues and stuff, that must make it challenging for you guys to also verify that when you do give someone money, that money actually goes to the right place, right? Exactly.
And we've tried to, in an ideal scenario, we have someone stationed in that area who can monitor and make sure that these projects are going according to plan, or that I have a budget and unlimited time to go travel and monitor all these things.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Which would be amazing, right?
Yeah.
But it's, we've tried to take various steps along the way to make sure that we're doing everything we can within our ability to mitigate some of those risks. So, for example, we only consider projects that our members have nominated. So our members have a direct link to this project. Either they travel in that destination, or they know it personally, or there's some sort of accountability that's shared there. In addition to which, sort of our requirements around progress and monitoring and things like that are all part of it. And then, of course, the lovely just general guidelines is being a nonprofit in the United States, making sure you're not funding sanctioned countries and so on and so forth. So we're doing our best. We know there's some risk. But it is a challenge.
And how can people get involved and support you guys? Just go to the website?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've got lots of information on our website. If you're an individual and you want to donate to the conservation fund, we welcome that. If you are a member in the travel supply chain or in the outdoor retail world or anything like that, we would love for you to be a part of us.
Great. Well, we'll put a link to that in the show notes. Great. And that website is, let's see, adventuretravelconservationfund.org. So
hey there you go. Yep, that's it.
Cool. And so this is kind of a different role for you, or have you done this kind of thing before? Nonprofits and
so yeah, nonprofits have pretty much been almost my entire career.
Gotcha. Okay.
In one facet or another. I mean, there's been short stints in between where I've been an independent contractor, but yeah, I think in general I've worked for nonprofit organizations, all with sort of different business models. Some who operate very with a model following a very private organization in the sense of how they generate their revenue and how much they retain and all that kind of stuff. To you know, with many nonprofits just looking for that next dollar to survive. But yeah, it's
like this group. This group's probably a very public facing group, right? You want everybody to know about it.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. But it's been, you know, it's been fun. It's not necessarily been an intentional choice, but it just so happens that the missions of the organizations that I've been a part of are all nonprofits. So there you go.
Well, hey, you know what? We all stumble into a career somehow.
Exactly.
That's how I got into the outdoor business. I just stumbled in and hacked a career. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And so who have been some of your mentors in this arena?
Good question. It's, I mean, adventure travel, it's been Shannon Stowell from the Adventure Travel Trade Association has been an incredible friend and mentor. Steve Barker, of course, who so many people in the outdoor business know about, has been just such an amazing person to be working so closely with, you know, and I enjoy our multi-weekly conversations. He may say, hey, I'm retired. I need a break.
No, we got to keep him busy.
Yeah, exactly. No, they've just got so much wisdom to share. It's one of the most valuable things is having a mentor and someone who you can go to just figure out stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And what are your thoughts on how adventure travels will evolve, or let me ask that again. And what are your thoughts on how adventure travel will evolve over the next 5 to 10 years?
That's a conversation I could just have for hours and hours and hours. Yeah. I think it's, you know, there's so much going on with people wanting to explore more, to get off the beaten track a little bit more, with how social media has sort of exposed a lot of the things that, you know, I didn't think it was possible to jump off a cliff and fly like a bird. You know? Just some of these crazy things that are going on. I think that people are going to be traveling more. They're going to be looking for those experiences that make them feel like, you know, this really is something I can connect with. It's something not a lot of other people have done. So looking for those sort of unique pockets of things to do and explore. But I think because so many more people are going to be out there traveling and trying to do this, you know, the impact is just tremendous. And so you go to some of these destinations and you sit there and you think, there's no way that if we continue at the rate that we're continuing to see these incredible things, that it's going to have the same impact, or that you're going to still be able to see that wildlife, or sit in that town square and experience it the way, you know, you may want to in sort of a tranquil environment. And so I don't know, is it going to be more permitting? Is it going to be more restrictive? Is travel going to be something that only the elite can start to afford? It's a great question, and I think a huge challenge for our industry looking ahead to see how we manage the growth. Yeah.
It puts a lot of pressure, I think, on the outdoor industry. Has the same thing with, you know, public lands and wilderness areas. I mean, you know, you could argue that the backcountry here in my backyard of Bishop is just overrun with people, but it just puts more pressure, I think, on the industries and those of us that use these places to educate and, you know, enlighten folks on this is how you want to go back there so that the guy after you can go back there and have the same experience you have,
Exactly.
tread
And I'm
lightly.
so glad you said that. I think like the educational factor and how the travel industry starts to incorporate it more. I mean, we have a responsibility, and as the Adventure Travel Conservation Fund, we're trying to do our best to get word out about these conservation projects and let people know the importance of them. But even a travel agent, before you send your clients somewhere, telling them about the sensitivity of some of these areas, so that we do learn to respect, we do learn to tread lightly. It's going to be so much more important.
Yeah, critical in all areas, wherever you travel to. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And, what opportunities do you see in adventure travel for young folks just starting out if they want to get into the biz?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think this is maybe a more general answer to the question. I think what's been really cool to see over maybe the last decade or so is people are really sort of creating jobs for themselves for what they want to do. It may not have been something that was necessarily stated, or that, your parents thought was an actual, career or something like that. But it's like, if you find your passions, align them and say, what do I want to do, and what could this look like, and how can I get there, and who can I meet who can help me craft this and turn it into something, I think is really powerful. And I feel like there has been a trend a lot in sort of this generation coming up and looking for jobs to really find, more than just the money and everything like that. It's like, what do I really want to do? Yeah,
follow jobs that line up with their passions. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think, just finding mentors and people who can sort of guide you and help you answer some of those challenging questions is going to be super important.
Yeah, exactly. I laugh because my dad and grandfather both work in steel mills, and I'll never forget the day I came home from college and told him I was going to get a degree in outdoor recreation. I thought I was going to be kicked out of that family. What?
But it's worked out pretty well for you.
Well, and it just goes to show, right? I mean, if you continue to follow your passions, and even though there may not be a position, if you find a service need or a business need or something, create it. And there you go. So
exactly.
Any other advice for folks wanting to, if they're already in, they want to grow their career?
I think I'm still too early to offer some wisdom like that.
Okay.
Find a mentor who can help you.
There you go. That's great advice right there. Yeah. What other outdoor activities do you participate in?
I'd say our biggest one is rock climbing.
Oh, cool.
Love to get out into the alpine and do rock climbing, mountaineering. Then just for fun on the sides. I mean, so I live up in Seattle, and the only way to make it through a winter in the Northwest is to ski or snowboard. So that's how we get out there and have some fun during the winter. And then, on the off days, a little sailing or kayaking or something like that. But,
very fun. Nice. That's good. And do you have any favorite books related to adventure outdoor, or do you give books as gifts very often?
I have favorite books. I guess the most outdoor related one is,
it doesn't have to be outdoor related. Sorry.
Okay. My favorite book of all time is Hot Zone. And
Hot Zone.
About the outbreak of the Ebola virus and everything like that. I don't know.
I think I've heard of that. Yeah. I may have even read that or something similar. Yeah.
It was a great book. I don't know. But another one I really like is Surviving the Extremes.
Okay.
It's sort of got, 5 to 10 shorter stories that are in there about adventurers who go out and they get stuck in some, unforeseen situation, like a raft, and they're floating in the middle of the ocean for a month, or a marathon runner that gets lost in the desert, and how does he survive? And so it sort of talks about, for me, I'm reading it because, oh my God, how do these people get there and survive it? And 2, it's like, okay, remember this if you're ever running a marathon and you're in a desert. I don't know. That was kind of a fun one for me.
That's cool.
Too.
Yeah, well, we'll link to those in the show notes. That's awesome.
Okay.
And do you have a favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
Okay, under $100. Crocs.
Crocs. Yeah, that's good.
They're super nerdy, but they're so handy and they're light, and you can carry them anywhere. And yeah.
Yeah, you can shove them in the bottom of a pack, and if you're
exactly
out of shoes, you got them. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about, do you have any tools or apps you use to stay motivated or productive or sane? Do you meditate, any of that kind of stuff?
I do work out a lot. Any kind of workout at least once a day, whether it's climbing or hiking or going on a run, or I don't know, just something to sort of get your mind to stop is where I need to go.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
So if your body's hurting, your mind's not working as hard.
That's right. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
And how about anything else you would like to ask or say to our audience before we wrap up?
I think you covered it, Rick.
That's pretty good. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. And how can people reach out and find you if they want to get in touch? LinkedIn or?
Yeah, I've got LinkedIn. I've got my email address. I have no idea how to tweet, so don't ask me about that. But yeah, I'm happy to share that off with you.
Great. Cool. We'll link to your email address and your LinkedIn profile on the show notes. And we'll put a link to the Adventure Travel Conservation Fund website. So that'd be great. Well, thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rick.
All right. It's been great chatting with you. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Soraya Shattuck. You can catch up with Soraya by email at soraya@atconservationfund.org. Soraya is Soraya. And you'll also find her on LinkedIn. You'll find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episodes/068. I would be grateful if you visit iTunes and give us a rating and review, and be sure to share this episode or tell a friend about it. If you love the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can support the show by visiting theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/patron and see the many ways you can support the show. Thanks for listening. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure and go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Thanks for listening, and until next time, be sure and make time to get outside.